This is Hino's Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. All right, let's talk about Vasiliy Lomachenko again. A DuckTales, woo! A DuckTales, woo! DuckTales, woo! Part 14, dog. I don't know what it is about Vasiliy Lomachenko, but he is the first person to not but 3 times get installed into the DuckTales anthology. So hear me and hear me well. Matter of fact, Quack, Quack, and Quack, Quack. Well, let's get on to the damn video. Vasiliy Lomachenko is in a position to where he has to show up and show out, or basically step to the fucking side. Let me say it again. Vasiliy Lomachenko is in a position to where he has to show up and show out, or step to the fucking side. 135 is locked and loaded. He's the one that came out of his mouth and said, you know, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay at 135 pounds. If that's the case, and we know why you're going to stay at 135, because you said it, right? Because we know at this advanced stage, in this age, you can't go down to 130. A lot of people, ultra Loma fanboys, will say, oh, well, Lomachenko can go down to 130 pounds. That's not realistic, because we all know age and attrition in boxing. When fighters age, there's a reason why when they age out of a certain weight class and they move up to the next weight class, it's not smart for them to lose and burn all of this weight to go back to a lower weight class, especially when they've been assimilated to a certain weight class for years. 135 is the weight class for Lomachenko. He can't bring his ass up to 140 because the guys are too big, too tall. You could imagine Vasiliy Lomachenko fighting a Jose Ramirez. Yeah, he'll be exposed. You could imagine him fighting a Regis Prograis. Yeah, he'll be exposed. You could imagine him fighting a Josh Taylor. Yeah, he'll be exposed. These guys are too big, too long. You know what I'm saying? They're too strong for him. So he's going to have to park his ass at 5'6" at 135 pounds. Because it just so happens that a lot of the guys at 135 are not really that tall. And even the ones that are tall, you know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that they are at 135 and it is a weight class that everyone is assimilated to, it gives Lomachenko a chance. But he's not going to be able to move up 5 pounds, which is huge in boxing, to go and fight these lions at 140. It's not smart for his boxing career. This is why he was smart enough to come out of his mouth and say, well, we're going to park our ass at 135. Now, if that's the case, that means out of your own mouth, Vasiliy Lomachenko, yeah, I don't have a problem fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. I don't have a problem fighting Devin Dream Haney. I don't have a problem fighting the super duper hype job Teofimo Lopez. Okay. But how come you didn't mention Richard Coleman? How come you didn't mention, you know what I'm saying, Miguel Burchell? Because those guys are also lions at 135. See, we don't have time to sit here and look at this immunity title that you have. We know that you have an immunity title called the Franchise Championship belt. We know you're on the Survivor's Island right now. And because of the flack that you were getting, you know what I'm saying, especially led by the ship of Hino's Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire, your ass had to step up to the plate and finally admit that, you know what, I'm getting a lot of flack here. I'm noticing that this WBC franchise champion is not a good thing for boxing, because it's tearing up the boxing fans, and boxing fans universally understand this as an immunity belt. They understand this as a immunity title. They understand that this makes absolutely no sense, and it shows that now I'm in the same line with Cinnamon Alvarez of ducking. A DuckTales, woo! A DuckTales, woo! A DuckTales, woo! Well, if I need to get out of the a DuckTales, woo! I need to actually fight these guys. Devin Haney's a rising star. This guy wants all of that free smoke. Gervonta Tank Davis, when he went up to 135, you know why he did that? He did that purposefully so he could let everyone know he ain't ducking no damn free smoke. As a matter of fact, from his recollection, prior to the Luke Campbell fight, you out of your own mouth, Vasiliy Lomachenko, said that you were willing to go down to 130 to go fight Gervonta Tank Davis, which I don't think is smart, because you should just stay at the weight class that you're at. But you came out of your mouth and said, then out of a sudden, because you got exposed by Luke Campbell and you got touched up upstairs and downstairs so much, you realize that your ego, right? Your fragile ego got bruised. And you needed a tune-up fight and a George Camboso Jr. to build your confidence back up. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the fight, when you were asked the question, are you going to fight Gervonta Tank Davis and go back down to 130? You acted like you didn't know that question was even asked to you, and you act like you didn't even give an answer to that. And then we know Teofimo Lopez, as much as I call this kid a super duper hype job, he has legitimate power. His ass is actually getting too big for 135, and eventually he's going to move up to 140. So if he lands on you, we know what time it is. We get it, man. 135 is locked and loaded. But this is the division that could be the most exciting in boxing if Vasiliy Lomachenko takes off his DuckTales, woo, DuckTales, woo, DuckTales, woo. You're the number one pound for pound fighter. Act like it. Let me say it again. You are the number one pound for pound fighter. Act accordingly. So I don't want to hear this nonsense about, oh, I don't have a problem fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. I don't have a problem fighting Devin Dream Haney. I don't have a problem fighting the super duper hype job Teofimo Lopez. If you don't have an issue fighting these guys, then actually get into the negotiation table and make these fucking fights happen. Because Devin Haney wants you. Gervonta Davis wants you. Teofimo Lopez wants you. The question is, do you want them? Are you giving us lip service, or are you actually going to push the narrative for this fight to happen? Because Vasiliy Lomachenko, you are the name in the division. You are the biggest name, right there next to Tank Davis. So if you really want to push the agenda and get these fights to happen, all you have to do is say, I want to fight this guy. And guess what? Everyone's going to want the fight, obviously, to take place, because now you, as the guy in the division, right? Because you're the proverbial guy right now, that fight will happen. But it's really on you, man. It's on your pinship. You need to go to Bob Arum, tell him, look, stop fucking protecting me. I'm getting up there in age, and I need to prove to the boxing world that the franchise champion label that they put on me is not just some immunity title bullshit, and I'm actually willing to fight these lions. Because now the lions are they're roaring at 135 pounds. They're ready to fucking fight. The question is, are you still in DuckTales, woo, DuckTales, woo, DuckTales, woo, or are you gonna man the fuck up, get your cojones out, and fucking fight? Because if you're not gonna do that, either you show up and show out, or step to the fucking side. Let me say it again. Either you show out and show out, or step to the fucking side. Otherwise, it's DuckTales, woo, DuckTales, woo, DuckTales, woo. It's a fucking DuckTales. This is He Knows the Sport. Check it out.